So welcome everybody on behalf of the Tourban team. This is actually on the one hand side like a world premiere because we have never tried this meetup format before, but you can also say it's a kind of experiment, and we are the guinea pigs in it. So we just try this. The idea was actually to not have a webinar where we tell stuff, but that we find a format where we exchange and where we share, and where, yeah, in the end, which is supposed to be inspirational and also help with the networking, because we heard a little bit in the aftermath of the Barcelona meeting that most people liked it, but always the time is too short for networking. So the good thing is if we're in a small group, the networking works better. So I think there is no need to use breakup rooms with this size of audience. And I think even if all the 20 arrive, I think also I would rather not split up, but stay together. But maybe all of you, you can in your, I mean, you have your proper name, so maybe you can also add your company and maybe even the country code, so we have a little bit an idea on your background, because I encourage you also to use while listening, while discussing, if you have an idea or want to drop a line to somebody. I think this works usually with Zoom excellent if you use the chat, and either the chat for everybody or the direct chat to somebody you want to catch up with. So if you, like, for instance, want to exchange email addresses or something, you can do it right away. But maybe it's a little bit easier when also we have the company in your name. As I said, we record this because we want to make it available also afterwards on the Tourban platform. And this is basically the setting. And the topic is the sustainable destination strategy. This is like one of the, I don't know, Leonie, how many, the 10 or 12 10 topics we have in Tourban that we're covering, which is basically the headlines of what we're doing. And in this topic, I mean, sustainable destination strategy basically can be everything. But what I thought would be quite interesting to talk about, especially from the company's point of view, is this part of cooperation and also public-private cooperation. And the idea is that we kick off with one example of Germany, where I know there is a good story to tell, but also that then there is the chance for you to ask questions, that there is also the chance to share your experiences, and that yeah, in the end we hopefully have a good discussion. I try to make notes and wrap it up, but it's not supposed to be like a very big written thing, but rather that we, yeah, that we keep a discussion going and use this 1 hour, 1.5 hours for this. And also maybe I think I know all your backgrounds a little bit. I know Michael a little better. And what's nice also to have Michael here is that he has a background not only in tourism, but also in other industries. So maybe during the course of the discussion, that could also become interesting. I try to moderate, but if there is a discussion going on, you will hear less from me. If there is not much discussion going on, you will hear more from me. But now we come to the two protagonists of this morning, and it's the two Andreases. It's Andreas Tedsen from the Hotel Lüttje Burg in Lüttje, town here in Schleswig-Holstein, and Andreas Koch, one of our mentors in the Tourban, and he's of course a Tourban company. And Andreas Koch, who's a mentor in Tourban, and but the two of them, they go back a longer time. And the idea is to listen to them a little bit, how they became friends, and the story of first Andreas Tedsen, of what kind of company you're having, what kind of hotel you're running, and how you came to the idea that there is a need for sustainability for your company. So Andreas, the floor is yours. I promised you a big stage, so now it's not so many people, but with the video, basically the whole world can listen.
Okay, good morning from Germany to Europe. I must talk in English one time in a year, but I need now 10 minutes to talk English, and the first time it's not so good. 2016, I must go as a vice president from the DEHOGA in Germany for restaurants and hotels. I'm the vice president in Schleswig-Holstein. I must go to Husum. Husum is a small city on the North Sea. My president says, you must go, it's for Nachhaltigkeit. And I remember Nachhaltigkeit, I think so, all guys think green, have shirts with gears. I think, okay, I go to Husum, I need half hour and say hello, hello, hello from the DEHOGA, and I go home. I drive to Husum, and yes, I remember, I think what's that here? It's economy, ecology, human. Very interesting for me. I was 4.5 hours in Husum, and I learned Andreas Koch in Husum. I know him, and we talk. And I say, Andreas, please come to Lüttje, and we will talk. And Lüttje, it's a restaurant and a hotel. We have 40 rooms on a marketplace. Yeah, that's for Lüttje. Andreas Koch.
Shall I continue, Ulf? I can't
hear
you.
The more you ping pong, the more interesting is, I think, to listen.
Well, from my side, it was the opposite. I met this guy who said, well, sustainability is not at all my case. So you must be Jesus that you're talking about that bullshit, just joking around. And I said, well, I'm first of all, I'm not Jesus. I have long hair, but I'm not Jesus. And maybe you want to invite me and maybe we talk. And that was the time when I took a train to Andreas Tedsen's place, and he locked me in his cellar. He has, if you see this hotel, you know, you have a beautiful hotel, you know, marketplace and this front door, but then you walk down the stairs and it's getting darker and it's getting a little bit foggy because he was smoking, and I'm a non-smoker since ever. So I thought it was not very polite at that time, but I survived, and he even invited his brother at that time. So we were 3 hours chatting, philosophizing about life and sustainability. And to make a long story short, after that 3 hours together with his brother, he said, okay, Andreas, you have a stake there. Let's do everything you know about sustainability in my hotel. And this is how our part of the story began. And Andreas came up with a beautiful name, and I play back to you, Andreas, because I think you're the owner of that name. And this project became very famous in North Germany. And so we basically started from zero, but the name is yours, Andreas.
Yeah, thank you. We know I love big cars. He hates big cars. He drives with a bicycle. I don't drive with a bicycle. He drives with train. I drive with a big car. We have every time we talk, and when we see us, we talk every time. He say you must drive train. I say no, you must drive a big car. Yeah, but we have talk, and then Andreas makes the whole team from Lüttje in 2 days. We have the whole team and we talk over Nachhaltigkeit. He talks over Nachhaltigkeit with our whole team on 2 days. From the oldest to the youngest, all know Nachhaltigkeit. And that's from 2016, we work today on this one. We have a second hotel and one hotel more in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. We have built it for 2020, and we make the same one in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. We will start, I think, so this year with this. Yeah,
yeah. But the name was from? From 0 to?
Yeah, from 0 to 100. We start with our project. We do nothing before 2016, nothing. And when we start, we say, okay, it's a special project. I'm not so green. And we say, okay, we start from 0 to 100. And now I think so we have 85.
And it was really interesting because what we did in the beginning is just for you and around. Andreas asked me to apply everything I know. So I basically, from the things I know after 20 years working in tourism, I always put the people first. So my question is, what about your team? Are you only convinced now, or what about your team? So we spent, as you said, 2 days with this whole team to ask, what is sustainability for you? How do you drive sustainability? What is in for you? Why should you do that? Because as far as I understand, if the team is not convinced, it's not as fun. And I have to play a little bit with the team. So finally, after this 2 days, this team gave me a nice nickname, and the nickname is now Couscous Tony, which is like, because I'm into vegetarian food, so the cook always cooks vegetarian for me. So he likes meat. So I said, okay. And since then he's calling me Couscous Tony. So these are small stories, but it's really fun because I love Daniel, who's a cook, and we get along very well. But that's I think the role of us all is to speak the language of the people. We are sometimes sitting on our big horse and trying to philosophy about sustainability, but it's really the aspect is to bring it down to earth. So the next what we did in this hotel with Andreas is I brought my engineer, because I wanted to know, okay, how good are you? What is the energies that goes in? What is the water that goes in? Where does it go? So we made everything transparent, and we reported about that. And I think, Andreas, you might talk about that, but there are very interesting aspects about where the energy flows and to understand how much energy you consume. And so basically, we also shared this again with the team to say, okay, you in the laundry, you have 30% of the energy. You in the kitchen, you have 40% of the energy. So we aligned the transparency of what sustainability is with a day-to-day business. And this is basically where we started in this whole process. So I think there were some aha effects in the first 3 months on your energy report, Andreas, as far as I remember it.
Yes. When I say Andreas is coming, he comes at, I think so, 28th of June. No, always looks, when I say Couscous Tony is coming, oh, they in a hotel reservation program. It's not Andreas Koch, it's Couscous Tony. Okay, yeah, in the first 2 months we wash our bedding.
Linen, the bed linen.
Yeah, we make it in our house. The machines looks very fine, but that's 25, 30 years old, but looks very fine, all clean. Thorsten, the engineer, come from Blue Contact, check all machines and say
biggest consumption, yes.
Yeah, zu viel Strom, danke.
Too much energy, yes.
Oh, I need 10 minutes, I know that.
You might need a
Thank you, Leonie, for translate. We need so many engine in our washroom. And he say, stop, that's too much. You need 40% only engine in your washroom. You need new machines. New machines, they go, too much money. But we change it for then in 4 weeks, we change it, and our Strom, oh God.
Electricity.
Dankeschön. Goes down, down, down. And that's a good story. And it's a small hotel. It's a small hotel with person. It's not no group, no nothing. It's me, I'm the old one. My children make it now. I go to retired now. And we can check it, we can make it, and we can see it the same team see, okay, it goes down, down, down. It's a good one.
And I mean, the logic of that project was really to dive into the employees, to make them all aware of what is happening. And I love that if they give me a name, I'm fun out of that. But the same as if you now going out there, the next level was going for the suppliers. So with Andreas, we visited, for example, the suppliers. Where does the egg come from? So because the music plays then in the supply chain. So it's fun, but it's also like really going into the circles of employees, and then to suppliers, and then to the guests. So if we have that in mind, that sustainability is very human, then we can have a human approach to everything. And then I think then sustainability is not, as Andreas always said in the beginning, is like bullshitting around or a concept in our brains. It's a logical way to move on. And I really fell in love with that hotel team, and since then we are friends, and going step by step. And even now, and together with Marion and Bert, who are in the room as well, we are now joined Tourban, and we're going into the next level. So now we are measuring the food waste to go really into the food thing. We are going for a certification scheme. So we are moving step by step. But you remember, it's 2016 it started. It's now 2022. It's a road. For me, it's a road map. It's not a one-off thing. It's really step by step. Both.
Can I ask some things, or share some observations? Because I think on the one hand side, Andreas Tedsen, you would not have met Andreas Koch if there had not been this this event that was probably organized by some public authorities, and also you would not have been there if you had not been engaged in the DEHOGA, in the Hotel Association. So I think on the one hand side, it's often the public facilitating these contact points, and also trying, I mean, now we are now the 9 people talking with each other, but sometimes more people talk with each other about the things. And there's of course also the issue with the money. So how was it with your project? Was that, because I seem to remember it was in some kind of framework that was also at least in part publicly funded. Do I remember right?
Shall I answer, Andreas?
Your answer.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, part of that was publicly funded. Like the training I did, Andreas paid me for doing the training, okay? But the documentation about the training, like we did a video about that, we did a brochure about that, we did social media aspects, that was funded by the tourism cluster in Schleswig-Holstein. And the same for the energy audit, that what 80% was funded by the German government. So we tried to use a lot of funding opportunities, but some aspects like the training, for example, there are no funding schemes. So these were directly paid by the hotel. So it was a mix between both. But of course, the event in Husum was paid by the government and the tourism cluster, definitely.
But we don't make it in marketing for our hotel. We make it for us. And when we start, we say, okay, no marketing for the hotel, not our homepage, nothing. Then we do this in the first time for us. And now we make a certificate. It's the first time behind 6 years or 4 years when we have no pandemic. Then now we start for marketing. My daughter say, okay, now we make a certificate, and then we start in marketing for the hotel. We do to outside for our guests, we say nothing. We make it for us in the first time and say, okay, now we will look. But it's naturally, it's economy, it's really big things.
Maybe because I know Andreas has to leave to his parade soon. Maybe do you have questions for the 2 Andreases, or maybe most importantly for Andreas Tedsen, because he's the one who has to leave. The others will stay for the discussion. especially Barbara Anton, you're like the exclusive guests here from, yeah, or Marion, Bert, yes.
Yeah, we've got a question about the employees. In this time, it's very difficult to have to keep good employees, I think. We do our utmost, but what is the problem? Can you, I don't know how to tell it, to say it, but can you inspire the employees, and how do you do this? Because we start things and we can't always be at the place at the right time. And how is there? That's a difficulty at our place. Once in a while, you check on this waste thing, and then things are not going 100%. You know, so that's a little bit. How can you inspire more the people who are directly working with the sustainability things? Andreas Tedsen, how did you do that in your hotel? Could you immediately at the start, were they screaming from, oh yeah, sustainability, that's the thing, or because so we started too, but
yes, when we start, the whole team says yes, we do. I ask the team before we start with all. I ask the team, all of them, and say, okay, that's the way that we will go this way, yes or no, and always says yes, we can. I am self the biggest problem. Was the biggest problem in the start one. The other say, okay, they wait younger. I'm the oldest one here, and the younger people say, okay, let it start. It's no problem. We do that. And we have so many fun. We make it all with fun. See, couscous Tony.
Yeah. Do you have a big fluctuation in staff?
No.
Are going people? No.
No. We have very small, very small fluctuation. We have our people was worked to 10, 15 years here, and we have a small list to will work with by us. We have no hierarchy and no problems with personnel.
Yeah. Okay.
But maybe, how is it with you, Bert and Marion?
What do you mean?
How is the case with you? Is it is it something that is similar in your case, or is it different?
Now we are starting the zero waste measuring with our team, and we have pointed out an employee who is responsible for who is member of a lifestyle circle and who is member of the sustainability circle. And there were a lot of employees in the housekeeping, at the reception, in the kitchen, who wanted to be really the delegate of everything, but measuring and really living it and following to be inspired and have new ideas. They always have new ideas, but to follow up or just to make a structure out of it is really difficult. So for example, I'm really looking forward to Andreas coming to us, just infecting them again, telling about sustainability, and the controlling is so difficult sometimes. We had a webinar about digitalization, etc. And it's really nice to have figures, to have facts, but it's really very difficult to follow up. And who is going to see the figures? Who is going to analyze it? And you have to do it yourself, just like Andreas now. He's going to the parade, I see. Yes, always having fun.
Okay.
Haven't you?
Thank you very much. Bye-bye, and we see us.
Bye-bye. Thanks for making it possible. Bye-bye, Andreas.
Thanks. All the best. See you soon.
Yeah. But what I think, what you can see also from this is, I think how important really the networking is. The networking that we are doing here, but also the networking to stay connected within the destination. because I think this is also like a strong message from the Andreas and Andreas example, that I think there are different ways of networking. With Andreas Tedsen, it's maybe the more formal and the traditional one, but I think it works. And also depending on the destinations. I mean, if you have this associations, sport clubs, whatever, this is where the community meets. This is where I think you see that you have a thriving community, which is also like part of the sustainability promise. But I think it's also where you meet people, get inspired, discuss, spread the message. And maybe Andreas, and I think this is also something with Marion and Bert, and maybe then we can open the discussion a little bit more to everybody. If I'm not mistaken, in your Tourban projects, in all the ones where you are mentor, Andreas, you have this part at the end where you want to spread the word. And I think it's great that it's already included there, but I think it's also like one of the bases is also like the better all of you are connected with other people, and the more you like the approach and have the good stories to tell, the easier it is to spread the word.
Yes, fully agreed, Ulf. And I think some of the things we are discussing here are homemade. I'm looking at this story since 20 years now. And I think you have noticed that how we work together, Andreas and me, it's more like really trying to have a very conceptual approach. But once we go into the employees, we try to have a fun translating approach of sustainability, like really inspiring approach. And if I'm looking at the road that we have been taking, we're talking about the destination approach right now. We have 150 certification schemes out there, and they all talk to our brains. So if you start with that, and Marion, you might talk about your certification scheme where you started with. You told me some of that insights, how difficult it is to start on the KPIs first. So I always say we should not start with the KPIs first, key performance indicators. We should start with an emotional kickoff of sustainability. That's how we started in Andreas Tedsen's place, to inspire the team, to inspire everyone that this is a road that we can jointly take together. And I think we should be criticizing ourselves about that, because I was also the same. I was a TUI and I was implementing ISO 14001, which is like really a tough thing. But I immediately started with the TUI Green Days the next year to inspire the whole employees to understand sustainability different. And that's also, but because you asked that, Wolf, at the end of each of the projects, I put an open day, like an open day for all the hotels taking part, because I realized once we have an open day, we have that as an event in the end, and we want the employees to showcase what they have done. It's not about me to showcase it. We want the employees, we want the cook to talk about how he reduced the waste. We want the engineer to talk about how he reduced the energy. We want the cleaning people to talk about how they used less water. So we have to put the people first, and this is my main message here after 20 years, and this is what I try to bring forward on the table with this four Tourban, let's say Tourban examples that we have in Schleswig-Holstein.
Very good. I'm looking at Michael because I know a little bit what he's doing, and it reminds me, I think this people approach and also the fun approach is, I think, something that's also in your mind, also in other industries, right? When you're, for instance, looking at water sports or yeah, something like that.
Yes, of course. I think it's one of the most important points, because quite often people think sustainability is against fun and things like this, but I think we can turn it around. And if you show people who are sitting in the nature and reducing their consumption, for example, it has nothing to do with less fun or something like this. It's totally the other way around. So, of course, yeah, I think it's quite important to show good cases where sustainability is combined with fun and lifestyle and things like that.
Do we have any questions? Because if not, then I force Michael also to tell maybe a little bit on more specific cases. But maybe we have Toon, we have Barbara, we have Crystal, we have now Chriso. Any any things to share? Like Ton, you're running a campsite. You have similar challenges and similar experiences, or is it different?
It's similar. We are, but in Holland it's quite different. Maybe we have the organizations of campsite owners, and they also introduced us with Green Key, and that's a certificate for sustainability. And on our meetings of the owners of the campsites, there we discuss to introduce the Green Key on our campsites. But and I think it's very important that the owner is the one who is keeping up the fire, because if the owner doesn't do it, then nobody does. And I know Marion and Bert from Barcelona, and they also told me that they are the fire from the sustainability in their company, because if you don't, there's no one else. Second thing is that I really think that you must give the good example. So I would not like to insult the owner of the hotel, but driving in a big car is not a very good example. So I do everything on a bicycle in Amsterdam, and I also give myself the good example of how you do sustainability in your life. And because our employees are not automatically involved with sustainability, so I think that the role of the entrepreneur is really important. The most important thing, what I think, is that in the beginning there must be some kind of a subsidiation from the government to pay in the beginning, because it's very important to make an inventarization of everything that you can do on your company, because it's easy to start with changing your lamps and reducing your energy and your waste, and the following steps are more difficult, but then you have smelt how it is, and then it makes it more easy. I think that's an important lesson here in Holland, that the first step it's subsidized. If you understand what I mean. That's what I had to add. And I'm very curious what Michael has to say about zero emissions, because we are not so far, and I think it's impossible to achieve the zero emissions as far as we are concerned. The last thing that I would like to say, it's very sad to see that our customers, I don't see that they choose for us because our sustainability is very high. We have the golden key, we call it in Holland. We have it for years, but I've seen no extra guest for it. But that's not the way why we do it. You must do it for yourself or for your conviction about the better world. That's what it is.
Yeah, maybe Andreas Koch wanted to say something.
I'm just saying something about the subsidies, Tona. I think I agree with your point that we need to kind of have a stimulating, let's say, activation energy in the beginning. I want to show you a different way of doing it here in Schleswig-Holstein. What we're doing here is we are offering a 10-module course, very cheap course. It costs 25 euros for every module. And in this course, we try to give very hands-on tools, like tools how you could train your employees, tools how you can, the 25 best measures how you can reduce your energy, tools how you can evaluate your suppliers. So we're trying to have the barrier very very low to enter as much into as much as possible local SMEs here. So, but we try to give them the tools, because we also need to have their commitment to drive that. And for some of the tools, we have subsidies, like for the energy audit, for example, 80%. But still, my experience is if you all do with 100% subsidies, I often felt like I lose the people because they don't value it at that. So we try to find a balanced approach. I'm at the side of the government here since I think 6-7 years right now in Schleswig-Holstein, and we try to have this middle approach of inspiring know-how, networking events together with other people, and at the same time subsidies. So this is the approach that North Germany is taking.
How many companies sign up for this course?
I think we meanwhile had 150 to 200.
Okay.
Those kind of courses, and the next course starts in September. So I wouldn't say it's. I mean, we have I think 3,500-4,000 DEHOGA members, but there are much more beyond small and medium-sized enterprises. But I mean, it's at least substantial. So it's not the 5% that are certified, because these are the ones who are the front runners. We try to reach out for the next 20% who are keen to move on but don't know how. So it's substantial, but it's not a must.
Maybe because from Ton there was also the question or the reflection on Michael and his zero emission.
Exactly.
So maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Maybe I can answer about it. Exactly. Thanks a lot. So the Zero Emissions Project, just to make a long story short, we are combining since 2009 water sports and sustainability. We want to have, we want to bring to the people that we have the goal of zero emissions, and we are not already there. So just to answer your question too, we are not, of course, we are not zero emissions. We are trying to reduce emissions, and not with our own project, but I want to motivate people and show people what is possible already, and I want to show people and especially talk to people without the raised finger that we have to change something, and it's an all-embarrassing topic. It's not only with waste reduction or energy reduction, it's nearly in every part of the life. So that's what we want to show with our project since around about 14-15 years already, and that's why we call zero emissions. So just to keep it clear, we are not at our target, and not we have not achieved it already. So yeah, I think especially what you said about the clients who are not, or the customers who are not booking holidays because of their sustainability, we can see it in different other business too. So sustainability is quite often only a nice extra. It's an add-on, and it's definitely not the reason why people are buying something or booking something. And of course, it makes sense, because every travel raises the CO2 footprint at first. And so to book a journey because of sustainability maybe is a bit complicated. It's of course nice to book the most sustainable journey. That may be a good point. But people who are interested, like me, for example, of course, I am deciding which journey I'll or which holidays I will book because of sustainability. But it's maybe 5% roundabout who are really interested in this topic like this. So in the end, it's an add-on, and we can see it in different other businesses too. So I'm working for a company who is producing flex fiber sailing yachts, and that's the same point. People are buying our product because it looks great and it has a fantastic design, but not because it is eco-friendly.
Yeah, but I mean, I think this goes a little bit away from this cooperation discussion. But I think this is what we also feel and see, because like in let's say the other part of my job, not connected with EU projects, we do a lot of market research on the consumer side, and it's even exactly maybe I was doing well in teaching you my numbers because it's exactly this 5% who is really the core, who will decide for really like consciously go for the more sustainable option. and for whom it is really let's say a big decisive factor. And then there is an additional 20%. So it's funny. It's additional 20% also with the consumers who consider it at all in their decision process. And when you ask who is in favor of sustainability, we come to up to 60, 70%. So there is a big funnel where at the end you have very few very conscious people, and I think also the conscious ones. I mean, Michael, if I remember, you talked to me. You just came back from Fuerteventura a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. I still like to travel and go once in a while into the warmth. We heard Andreas Tedsen, who still likes his big cars. So I think even the ones who, where I would not count myself in that, but even the ones who want to lead, I think we all have our small weaknesses in our daily consume, or that we still like to have a steak once in a while. So, but I think also this is human. But I think this is what we have to work with on the one hand side with the consumers, but on the other hand side, I think also in our companies and in our networks. So maybe I think it was Andreas Koch first, and then Michael.
Well, I want to dig a little bit deeper on what you said, and I think I agree with Torn and what you said, Michael, about that it's still on top what you're doing with sustainability. I myself, I move away from sustainability as being on top. I move to a new definition of sustainability for me, and that is the relational quality. I define quality as a better relationship to your network, and sustainability helps me. And I think we all need, and that's what we realize in this crisis, we all need a good network. Network to, if I say network, I mean network to other hotels, network to the government, network to the suppliers, network to the employees, and I call that relational quality. And I realize that sustainability, if we don't name it sustainability, but we name it as something that increases the relational quality with your suppliers, sustainability helps hell a lot to increase your emotional connection to your suppliers. Sustainability, and I'm looking forward to the training at Sun, for example, it helps you to increase your relation to commitment to your employees. It helps, it opens up doors to your touch points to your customers, because at the reception, in the rooms, at the buffet, you can talk about sustainability, social media, and you increase the relational quality. And I'm moving away from that on top to trying to make people aware that you increase your quality of relationships, and that's what leads us all into the future. And that's why I agree with you, Torn, that it's on top. It's sometimes hard to go out on that, but once you're on the road, you will see that you are much better in your relational qualities. And please add to that, Michael. If but I feel that.
Thanks a lot, Andreas, because it's a very good point, and especially we're here for networking, and I'm give you 100% right that it's networking. For networking, sustainability is quite important, and also networking to the employees, to the customers, of course, also, and also to other business partners. But this gap where we are talking about, where you were talking about, was the gap between knowledge and action. What we all feel is a knowledge about we have to change something, we have to reduce our footprint, and so on and so on. Leads to a psychological dissonance, of course, which everybody feels. If I go to a supermarket and buy something, I buy an avocado, for example, I know exactly that's not the best way. And but where does it start and where does it end? Should I only buy things that are really necessary for me? So this psychological dissonance is definitely a problem for all of us and for all the people, of course, who are really thinking about it. And normally people are quite happy to find a way to reduce this dissonance and to get it smaller and smaller. And if we, with our sustainable ideas, of course, present them a way to maybe reduce the dissonance between booking a holiday trip and reducing the CO2 footprint, it's already a big advantage, I would say. And of course, it's not the reason why they are booking it, but it helps a lot. And it helps, I think, a lot to keep them in your own network, especially when you're talking about social media posts or things like that. You can find fantastic sustainability stories for your different channels, and that's quite helpful, I think.
Yeah, so we see the importance, but I think also the opportunities that we have in communication. Maybe, oh, Barbara, was that a? Yes, very good. Because I was trying to shift a little bit, go over to Barbara and Crystal, and I think also Crystal, you're more from the DMC side, and we have now talked very much about the accommodation side, and it would be nice to hear how is it, yeah, in your context.
Yes. Hi. Thank you. So I'm coming from Slovenia. I'm a DMC in Slovenia for Slovenia and Croatia. I actually didn't know what to expect when I registered for this, but yeah, it's a very my point of view, or how I'm looking at the whole situation is very different than yours, since you're mostly the supplier. So I'm as a DMC, and by the way, I'm mostly working in MICE industry, which means that we organize incentive trips and events, seminar, conferences, etc. on the destination for the clients, and our clients are mostly either the companies or the actually so-called, they call themselves incentive houses or agencies in the country where the company is placed. So what I do, I actually choose the suppliers, and actually the sustainability is the thing that I feel strongly about. So I'm really, personally, I'm really attached to it. But if I look from the client's point of view, I can say, well, there is more and more demand. But it depends really a lot on the destination marketing. Slovenia is known as a very green destination, as a sustainable destination. And there is a special scheme for the so-called, we call them green destinations that are all over the country, and they have different certificates. They have to get certificates from that have international value, and then they also get another certificate from the Slovenian Tourist Organization. So the structure is there. There is really developed very well. And since you were talking about the support, this is exactly what I was thinking about, is that there is a support on this segment in Slovenia. So it's, yeah, it's very interesting. But maybe I would just say that as you said, there is not much demand, or a very little demand from the people that they would travel just as a, let's say, sustainable travel. But I would say there is more and more demand. There will be more and more demand, and it will become a normal thing to expect, from my point of view, for the travelers in the future. But there always one more point that I could raise here. As I said, I choose suppliers to make a program as an agency, let's say, which means that I need accommodation, that I need transfer, that I need restaurants. So I need to be very well informed who does what. So this, for example, is, and of course I'm dealing with the groups, so it's a bit different from maybe the businesses from the others, but maybe I'm just explaining my point of view, of course. And there is always something that is missing. You know, as I said before, the destination is very well done in Slovenia, is very well developed regarding the sustainability. There is a lot of accommodations that have already the certificates. I would say smaller accommodation facilities, not the big hotels. That's always a problem, of course. And there is always a problem with the transport. As we know, you know, first, of course, flying in, and then also at the destination, you know, the electric cars are picking up, which is good and great for individual travels. When we have the groups, you know, the vans are just coming up, and we are very far from electric buses or hybrid buses or things like that. So this is, for me, for example, this causes a problem if I want to plan something like that. But of course, you try to minimize the impact. So this is something that you try to do, but you can't be 100% sustainable. So,
but do I understand it right? It's more your motivation to focus or to have a quite strong focus on sustainability, and it's even in the MI sector, it's not the companies yet, because my feeling was that in the MI sector it's already much stronger, which doesn't mean it's the norm, but much stronger than with the leisure travelers.
well, I feel strongly about it because also Slovenia is such a destination that it's marketed, it's promoted as a green, sustainable destination, and I think it's a right direction to go for. But when, of course, when you get the inquiries, when you get the requests from the clients, yes, we hear about big companies that now put as a standard sustainable travel. Yes, but they are still very much in minority. And for example, if they choose Slovenia, they would probably choose it because they heard it's a sustainable green destination, and then they will expect certain services, there to be as well. So it is happening. It also depends where, big international companies, small companies, it's a bit mixed up. It's like with individuals as well. So we can't say there is a standard or there is something that is a rule going on at the moment.
Yeah, cool. Maybe I try with Crystal. She wrote she's traveling, but I know from Barcelona, if I don't mistake her, that she has a nice DMC in Copenhagen, targeting on quite a luxury segment where I don't know, where she can also say how is the awareness, and probably this finding the right suppliers is a similar challenge for you, right?
Yes. Hi everyone. I'm traveling and moving around, therefore I'm not going to be on the video. Yes, we are a sightseeing agency in Copenhagen, and we have daily tours, but we focus a lot on VIP and custom tours. And well, our basic tours are walking tour and biking tours, which are very sustainable. But when it comes to the VIP and custom tours, it means that very often people want to have a black cars, picked up car tours, coming from airport, limousine service pickups. And the reality at the moment is that there is, I think, one of the participants on the program as well is doing the electrical cars car service, but when I check the prices, they are more expensive than my limousine car service. So that again puts the limits, and people when they see the prices, people want to be very sustainable, but if you give them the prices, very often they go still to the cheaper options, and it's yeah, it's like tomorrow we have 25 people from Middle East, Egypt and Turkey, and we're gonna take them for 1 hour canal tour with the lunch. And the client was really kind of specifically saying, oh, could we have sustainable options for no plastic cups and plates? Could we have a paper and so on? So I said, I will request. And then, oh, could we have actually, because we have wine, we have beer, could we have more fancy beer on the bottles? Could we have a glass for a wine? Because I don't want a glass like wine served from the paper cup. So, and obviously, you know, plastic cups we have, the boat has plastic glasses for wine glasses and champagne and beer glasses for, you know, with the wine glass shape and everything. And they don't allow glasses on the boat. So again, there is starting the high end and expectations, and you don't want to serve a wine or champagne.
Sorry.
So yeah, it's sometimes it's yeah, you need to see what you can do, but the expectations are different, and we have all the options to come across, but I know that they said as well, the boat company said that they're actually working on more sustainable cutlery and cups going forward, but it's not there yet. When it comes to the sustainable partnership and partners, now we start to kind of look into the more what we can offer and how we can do, because our aim is to plan customized tours matching the interest of our local professional stakeholders within the areas like energy, water, cities, and circular economy. That means that we don't offer kind of daily program fixed sustainable tours in Copenhagen, but we offer on customized. Because we have lots of inquiries actually for sustainable tours. Sustainable tours as a kind of overview of the city, it's very simple. That we can do, every tour guide can point out our sustainable areas and water circulations, and so this is super easy. But and we have quite many requests actually for sustainable tours. But then the trouble starts when people are more specific, and to find the kind of company visits and the special sites, to have the network who is willing to open up their doors and who is willing to give an overview and actually educate people and showcase what they do. People want to actually come to Denmark, because Denmark is one of the flagships for sustainability, if you look at the kind of big companies and industrial areas. So yes, but we have, but Wonderful Copenhagen has been doing lots of really good jobs. So we have lots of good studies and researchers. I just had a meeting with them, so I got in lots of interesting information. So I hope to get more help from that side as well.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
Do you have the feeling, because you say you're getting a lot of inquiries, and it's not so much that you have to encourage your customers to ask for more sustainability, but it's more to find the right suppliers. Is this because you're in Denmark? Is this because you're on the high end of the market? Or do you think it's just a general development? Do you know from other companies who are maybe more in the mass segment, if they see the same development, or is yours basically, are you the front runner in some regards?
I think offering kind of customized, more customized option, I could say I'm front runner, but at the same time there is one company who is doing kind of daily tours on sustainability, but they have really fixed routes. They have the tour is bike tour, let's say 2.5 hour, walking tour 2.5 hour or 2 hours only, and it's fixed. It's like a scripted tour, and the tour guides are mostly, and they have really good knowledge on the sustainability side. They've been studying or they are into the industry. So these tour guides, they don't do. They do the sustainable tour, but at the same time, they don't have really good knowledge of history and Denmark overall. You know, it's, again, they are really narrowed down, where obviously they might give more information on sustainability, and they have more detailed knowledge for kind of this 2.5 hour tours. But I think our tour guides can easily cover these topics as well, and even more. So there is kind of competition.
It seems it loses a little bit the fun side and the actual reason why most people are coming. It sounds a little bit. So if you focus maybe too much on the sustainability side without, let's say, showing what the destination as a whole is about, huh?
Yes, and I know that they're quite busy kind of for the topic what they do, which is amazing. But yes, it's very narrowed down. It's very specifically only kind of, and they have different few routes offering sustainable, but it's very fixed.
Okay.
So yes, and I don't think we have I haven't seen at least that we have in Copenhagen other sightseeing tour companies who would offer this kind of wider scale options and looking into the more custom tours, and at the same time the basic is available as well.
Okay. Maybe Andreas, because I know you are working in many destinations outside of Schleswig-Holstein, and also often like in this field of product development. Do you see like a trend there? I mean, you said with the quality of the network, that's more like the business perspective and the B2B perspective, but do you see like, yeah, is there like a trend to bring, like, I don't know, more the fun into the product and into the sustainability, and just I don't know, somehow hide the sustainability because it's in the end part of a good quality product? Or is there also the possibility of what we heard to like maybe even focus and talk and educate with the sustainability? Or is there like a niche for everything? Is there like some reflection on where we are going, where we are heading?
Well, my reflection is basically that sustainability becomes not a concept, but it becomes an ingredient for, let's say, the product development, as far as I see it. Like I'm just coming from Mauritius, where we try to use 4 years sustainability as an ingredient for the product development. And I think this is a new dimension. This is when I listened to Christelle, I really felt that we are moving into this direction. I observed that direction because, to your question, it plays with a demand, with the market research result that authentic experiences are on the forefront. So if you want to make it authentic, what you have to do is you have to make it local. And if you make it local, you could even go further to make it sustainable. So this aspect, I would say, if I make it nasty, I would say it's a Trojanic horse for sustainability, because you can play with the word authentic experiences. And when we developed, for example, authentic experiences on Mauritius, what we did is we invited the whole network of local producers, the whole network of local artisans, to co-create that authentic experiences together with the tour operators, with the DMCs and the hotels. And that is, on the first side, a lot of fun. On the other side, a lot of interesting results. Just some of them is I see now a lot of beekeepers working together with big resorts, and they use the areas of the resorts for their bees and making their own honey in the resort, and they give it to the VIP guests. That's a very nice co-creation of authentic experiences. You can even make a hike with a beekeeper into the bees and then walk with them. So that's very interesting. Other examples are there are local glass producers from recycled plastic, and now I see that there are shops in the big resorts that are selling that kind of glasses. And so there are many good opportunities, but it wouldn't. I see the trend of authentic experiences. If we jump onto that train, we can easily combine sustainability and authentic experiences. And that's what I see is a worldwide trend. So this is happening in Copenhagen, it's happening in Germany, Europe, and everywhere in the world. So this is what I see.
Yeah, I think this is great because I think all the examples of the companies show exactly this. So it's an ingredient to their product. It may be the core of the producing, but it's not the core of, let's say, the experience. But an important ingredient. But Michael.
One last point, Mike. Can
I?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
What we have to do then, Ulf, is we have to make a new understanding. We have to inspire for a new understanding of product development, because product development the last 20 years, I'm coming from TUI world, was how can we satisfy our clients? But product development in a new sense would be how can we satisfy the supply, the clients, how can it satisfy the local network? How can it satisfy the community? How can it satisfy the employees? So this is a new understanding. If you do product development in that logic, then you open up the stage for looking at the expectations from these different angles and then coming together. And if you do that, it's a lot of fun, because when I did it, for example, with a big DMC in Mauritius, they realized this is very natural product development. It comes from your heart, it comes from your logic, how you want to do it. It's not only focusing on the satisfaction of guests. Sorry, Michael, I have to add it because it's really
no problem. Yeah, of course.
Product development.
I just also wanted to add a very small aspect which I find by myself. So I love to learn, observing myself, and of course I'm into sustainability since many years. But I think it's I could imagine that it would be quite helpful to make it possible for people not to have to think explicitly about when they are on holiday, because when you're on holiday, you don't want to be into all this thinking and it's just a very easy example. When I booked my trip to Fuerteventura, I could choose an electrical car or a normal car, and I choose the normal car because I said, okay, it's holiday. You don't want to care about things like, is it better to choose this one or better to choose that one? And I think it may be quite helpful to make people realize that you are trying very hard in all areas to show that it's sustainability is your standard, for example, and people who are booking a trip with you or to your destination don't have to care about all these small different aspects every day in their holiday, because it's quite annoying when you're sitting at a breakfast table and you are on your holiday trip and you have to think about, should I take the sausage or should I take the cheese, or what should I choose? And of course, we have to offer more information to all these people who want more information. But I think it's important not to overload the people in their holidays. Maybe before their holiday trip, when they're booking and planning and things like that. But I think that may be a small difference and maybe helpful to bring sustainability in a more interesting and funny way, combining with these highlights Andreas were talking about to the people during the holiday trip without making it really annoying in the end.
I have one good example from Barcelona. I have to bring it, Leonie. I booked my hotel in Barcelona just yesterday, a sustainable hotel. And when I booked it, immediately it popped up the window. Oh, you can book, by the way, a bike tour. The best way to explore Barcelona is a bike tour. So we bring you to all the best places. I immediately booked it directly right away. The hotel is, by the way, as Hostel Grau. Leonie, you might know that one. So very good example of combining destination approach to sustainable travel and exploring the landscape.
Thank you very much. I think we are we shouldn't do more than the 1.5 hours that we have foreseen. But maybe before I wrap up, any more reflections from the participants? Or also, I mean, Leonie and Kaye, even though you're more like the listeners, you can also reflect if you like to. But especially Marion, Bert, Ton, Barbara, Christel, anything that comes to your mind, because I think in the end we touched many crucial points of the discussion and of the feeling, and I tried to wrap it up. But before doing so, maybe Ton, was that a hand? Yes, very good.
Yes, I have a question for Andreas. I looked at this website and I'm very curious. We didn't introduce ourselves, but can you tell me something about your company and about how it is financed?
Well, it's a consultancy. So what I did is I can, I think, talk for hours about my road, but I was responsible for sustainability at TUI. Then I founded an NGO in Germany. For 5 years, I built it up, which is now the biggest NGO, and it's about sustainability and tourism for tourists. And then I said, I need to earn some money. I didn't want to become a consultant, but then I became a consultant. And now I'm going back to becoming an NGO again, because I founded tourism like tourism and tourism, because I found that if we are all creating a new rhythm together, then we could come together again. But Blue Contact, as my company, is a pure consultancy. I'm using a lot of funding opportunities in Germany and worldwide. I'm using Tourban. I'm happy to be a Tourban mentor, but I'm also using EU money for other projects. I'm Germany using a lot of funding opportunities. So basically, I'm a consultant. I don't like the word. I like the word mentor much more, because doing 25 years sustainable tourism, I feel like I want to give all that I know to the people and inspire more than being dogmatic. So I hope that was a short answer to your question.
Yeah, and Tone, you're right. We should have made an introductory round, but I think by the way, we found it because I thought we would be like 20, 25, and then it would have taken too much time. But with 9, it would have easily be possible. Barbara, I saw you also. Like, was there something? No, no. Okay, Leonie Kaye. No, 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 no. Okay, then I try to sum up a little bit. And first of all, I want to thank you for this nice discussion, because I think, yeah, maybe for the for spreading the word, it would have been nicer to have a little bit more people in the round. But I think for discussion, it's always nice to have small groups. And I'm really happy that really everybody contributed. And I think that what we had in mind, also Kaya and I, when we were discussing how this format could look like, because at first we only had a name, which is Meetup. My feeling is that it worked well, in the sense that we didn't have like a strict agenda to follow up, but just a topic and then discuss and get different views. And I also have the feeling that, starting from the example of the 2 Andreases, but also with enriching it from all your perspectives, and also even from Michael's perspective from partly outside of the tourism industry, I think two things in the very center. And I think this is the story about people, speaking the language about people. It's a people industry, so it's always about connecting people and working together. And I mean, cooperation is already, I think, a theoretical construct, but in the end, it's people who have to do something together, who have to work together because they're in the same company, who want to work together because they share the same values. But it is about people, about convincing, about discussion. And I think this is also why it's always complex and never, I think you can never have it 100% straight. Also, if we follow these examples that we thought were good examples, the last one, Andreas giving of Mauritius and the new way of product development, I would say, yes, that's great. But on the other hand, also, it's so much more complex than it was before. And also, when we think about sustainable destination development, before for a destination, it was easy. They wanted more. And to make, for that, you needed more money, more commercials, better products. But the goal was easy. I think now with sustainability, also that is has become very complex. And first you have to define your goals and then think about how to measure it and how to reach it. But what I also liked, and I think this is also from all the examples that that you have shared from your companies, is this fun part, and together with the fun part, also this communication part, that you cannot really point the fingers and tell, and we have to be more sustainable, and it's so important. You don't get people with this way. So you have to make it fun. And also, when we're thinking of this difference between the owners and maybe also employees, as an owner, we learned you have to have the fire and keep the fire burning. But on the other hand, I think you're also there to be the translator, or you have to translate from this, let's say, a little bit more theoretical and structural approach to an approach where it becomes fun and something you like to do. Because I think it's in the end, we have to find a way to tackle sustainability in a way that we want to do it and not that we have to do it. So this is for me the essence. And I think we found then some ingredients that will help us. So I think communication was a key point, but also, yeah, let's say on different levels and together with the communication, the networking, and Andreas, what you said with the quality of the relationship that also comes when you share the same values. And I think the examples that you that you all put, they all point in this direction. And I think in the end also that is something that I was at a conference about sustainable tourism last week, where we or actually a couple of meetings about this topic in the last weeks, and something that kept coming up in my head is this also, that you cannot leave every decision to the customer. I think this is also something that we have to think, because I think the tourism industry and also often the big associations of the tourism industry, they have to say, okay, if the customer doesn't want it, then we don't need to do it, or it's the responsibility of the customer. So if they don't compensate for their CO2 footprint, then we don't need to bring it. So in the end, we can blame the customer because he's not asking for it. But I think is really making things way too easy. And I think in this context where we are working, I think we have understood this, but I think also it's important that the customer, he wants to have a nice holiday experience at the first place, or as Michael put it, he wants to buy a nice sail yacht. So the basics have to be right. But then it's about putting the right ingredients in where he doesn't have to make a choice all the time. He makes the choice at the first place, but he doesn't have to make a choice at every step once he is on the road. And I think this is also something that, yeah, that we need to keep working on. But I think this is also something when we're in this circle where we're all already quite committed. It's nice to talk with each other and to we don't really have to do much convincing, only learning and hopefully inspiring and learning from each other. But I think it's also important then to spread the word. So, and I think this is also something, yeah, I think we were going to do with Tourban. We will do with this recording, so we will see if a lot of people will watch this. Yeah, and there's still time for last words. But other than that, I'm done with what I wrote down and trying to make sense of my own handwriting.
I may have only one comment, Ulf.
Yes.
If we think sustainability is complex, sustainability will be complex.
Okay.
It's also a question. It's also a question of mindset. My way of thinking is sustainability is natural. If we think that, if we have that mindset, it will be easy and natural. So we sometimes also have to ask ourselves what language we use for sustainability.
That's a very good point, and I need to reflect on that. But I think it's really good food for thoughts. Thank you. But Toon, you had something to say as well. No, that was goodbye. Okay, but I think Andreas now gave us at the very last end something really to think about, and I hope this has been inspirational. If you have any anything you want to tell us later on, you can do this on the 90 Wet Network, on the community. So if you like this format, if you didn't like it, if we can do something better, because there will other meetups following up. And maybe we will learn something out of it, but we will learn more if you also maybe comment and give us some feedback of what we could do the same or differently the next time. Okay.